Hey guys, happy Wednesday. It is officially Pirate Wednesday. The reason why I say that is because I've been playing Pirates, Vikings, and Knights 2 most of the week, along with some Team Fortress. If you haven't heard of that game, check it out. The link in the sidebar. It's actually a very fun mod. All you need is Half-Life 2 or any of those games, Counter-Strike Source, that kind of deal. So anyway, before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to TGP community. Thanks guys at Thegamersplayground for providing us with great servers and great players. And let's get started. Okay, so last time we made a game space and we gave a sky to our level and a ground. Now today we're going to be creating the actual play space, the indoor and outdoor areas, or the building areas. And I've already went ahead and set up part of our level here, and we'll go over how this was done in just a second. But first, we're going to create some kind of scenery on the outside. This can be considered inside and outside, because this could actually be a building itself. This wall here could be part of your building. But let's not worry about that for now. Let's just know that I've made a hole in this wall, and on the underside of that hole I've created 4 walls, a floor, and a ceiling, and a ramp. So you can go from here to there. And that's obviously very important. If you're playing, you want to be able to get from the inside outside. Okay, so I'm going to set back up my textures again, back to the brick texture. And yours may already be set, so don't worry about that. And the first thing we're going to do is go to our brush tool, and we're going to drag out some brush space here, and then we'll make sure it lines up with our grid so it's sitting on top and not underneath it. And if you have a problem where it snaps, where when you drag it'll snap to this grid line here, make sure that snap to map has been turned off, or snap to grid has been turned off in your map menu. Okay, so I'm going to drag that, and then I'm going to drag it up, and then I think for here I want to drag it in some, so I'm going to move it over so it's separate from the space I've created over here, kind of like an alleyway. Alright, I'll make sure that's nice and lined up with the wall. Okay, so we see our large box here up here in the middle of the map. This is going to be our building. We hit enter to create the brush, and then tools, make hollow. 15 is our thickness of the walls, and okay. And just like what we did here, if we go inside, we have created 4 walls, a ceiling, and a floor. But let's say we want to have a walkway, if you will, a sort of a walkway, like a hallway almost, between our alleyway and then the inside of this building. What we can do is go to our ignore group tool right here, and then we'll select this wall and press delete, and you'll see that this wall is completely gone. And so what we're left with is our floor in this wall and in that wall. We'll select this wall and we'll delete it too. And you know what, let's go ahead and delete this one and this one. So we'll delete that, so we're left with kind of an L shape. And we'll toggle back off our ignore group tool and select this brush here. Make sure that it's going to line up so that it's not displaced from one another. And I'll toggle back on the group tool so I can do this. Alright, and we'll drag it so our vertices line up just like that. And by the way, these little dots here are your meshes, or your brush's vertice. I'm not going to use the term mesh, though technically it is a mesh. We'll use brush from here on out just for simplicity's sake. Okay, so I have a wall and a sort of a roof. It's a little bit tall, so I'm going to select the two and just drag it down. Alright, so now I have a kind of inner walkway. Let's drag it in a little bit more so it's not sticking out so far. Say about right here. And the reason why I'm doing this instead of just making a simple room outside and then turning it into a building is because when you're making your level, you're going to be doing different things such as this, such as dragging things around so that it lines up to make different shapes. And I'll drag that down so it touches the ground here. Alright, so I have a nice looking walkway. I want to adjust the height just a little bit more, bring it down some more. Another thing to note is if you're not sure how tall a player is going to be, you can go to our entity tool, which is this tool right here, and we haven't talked about it yet, but we're about to. We'll go to this tool here and click on it, and then click anywhere on your map, and you'll see a little green Gordon Freeman appear. Or this is by default your player spawn, and that's actually the height of a player at all times regardless. They will be that tall, period. If not, they'll have a different model for it inside of a hammer. And so that way you can see the height of the actual player. Alright, so we've done this, and we've created a kind of an alleyway. There's like a hallway almost on the outside, kind of like a garage space, if you will. And let's make a fence right here. So we'll replace our entity, and we'll double click on him, and by default you see it's info player team spawn. That's what I was talking about earlier. If you just left this on the map as is, it would be a player spawn position, but we're going to change it to a prop. So erase this and type in prop underscore dynamic. You'll see it at the top of the list. Hit apply, give it a name. We'll name this one fence, and hit enter. And for world model, go to browse and type in fence. And what this is this is your model viewer. This is all the models inside the game will be in here, and you'll have all kinds of things related to the name fence. I kind of like this fence for right here, but you can go with another one. So I'm going to go with this one. I hit OK and hit apply. And you see that it's created a prop on our map here. So now all we have to do is line it up. So Control M, and by the Z axis rotate it 90, and then we'll just go here in our perspective view and drag it over a little bit so that it meets with the wall but it doesn't go through the wall. You see? Just like that. And now we have a little cover, if you will. If they're coming out from right here, they're not going to get directly shot up. However, a spy might hide out there, so you might want to spy check that. If you're going to put this in your map, people might want to spy check that. We'll drag it forward a little bit so it lines up with this grid line here, and that just gives it more room so that players don't get crowded up. Also note that because Team Fortress 2 has an engineer, they might put sentry guns here, so you might want to consider sentry gun locations when you're building your map. And we'll talk about gameplay balance another time. Let's just continue with our building.